welcome to this week's episode of the Maz's Musings podcast. This week, things have been a little bit crazy, so we are kind of slipping this episode in kind of at the last possible moment when we could be recording it. So I hope you will deal with any bumps or bruises that we may experience while recording this on the fly. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Our last episode, by the way, with Chris Sulik talking about his travels with Metallica, has now become our most listened to episode. So thank you to everybody who is listening. It's great to see our audience grow a little bit, and hopefully you'll stick with us. We talk a lot about a lot of different topics, so I'm sure there's always going to be something that you'll find interesting here on the Maz's Musings podcast. So this week, again, in anticipation of our upcoming trip, we're doing another Disney-related episode with Eileen. This time, we are going to play a little game of Love It, Like It, or Leave It. And so we've got different categories related to the Disney parks, in this case, specifically Walt Disney World. And getting even more specific, we're looking at rides that existed in 1971 that still exists today at Walt Disney World. So we'll be going through a few different categories that are involved with that, and it's going to be fun. I put this all together about 10 minutes before we ran off to have Meghan's happy birthday dinner, so it's been a wild night for sure. So before we get into that, of course, we have to have Meghan's joke. Now, this week's joke is one that Meghan made up on her own. So, yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Here we go. Hi, Meghan.
Hi.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Do you have a joke for us?
Yes. What does a girl named Amaya say when she says, "Oh my"?
I don't know. What does she say?
Oh Maya!
All right, great joke. Is that one that you made up yourself?
Yes.
All right. All right. Well, maybe you laughed. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you're as confused as I was. Either way, that is Meghan's joke of the week. And now let's get into our main topic. And that is Love It, Like It, or Leave It, with 1971 attractions at Walt Disney World that are still there today.
Donald, wake up! It's showtime! Don't forget the orchestra!
Ah, there you are. And just in time.
Mom says there's even more magical stuff now.
For those of you standing, please hold on to the handrails throughout our journey and stay clear of the doors.
Hang on to them hats and glasses, cause this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
And here we go!
Okay, it feels like we're having more and more of these like thrown together episodes at the last minute that I end up roping Eileen into, and I thank you once again for humoring me and doing this, Eileen.
I really thought that once we got past Christmas, things would settle down. But I feel like maybe after Disney, things will settle down.
Maybe.
Maybe.
January is a busy month in general, kind of resetting after the holidays. And then there's a very important birthday that she would definitely be very sad if we forgot about.
Happy birthday, Megan.
And then, of course, we usually have some sort of trip or usually a Disney trip, but we usually try to do some kind of something on the school vacation week in February here in Massachusetts. And really most of the Northeast has this President's
They at
Presidents?
least get the long weekend.
Yeah.
Not everyone does the full week, but
Yeah,
a
but-
lot will take the long weekend.
So anyway, we are prepping for the trip, which is now basically about 2 weeks away. And to prep for the trip, I decided that it would be fun to do another Disney themed episode. So this one, and this is a concept that I've seen thrown around a little bit. It's basically a love it, like it, or leave it. So, and this is something that I figure we could do occasionally with different parks and different themes. But for this one, for this episode, it's going to focus on Magic Kingdom, and most specifically, rides that were available in 1971 that are still available today.
Without remodeling or...
Well,
Yeah, okay. Just clarify.
they're still there.
Yeah. Just rides, attractions, anything like
It's
that. Clarify.
Mostly rides.
Okay.
There weren't that many attractions outside of rides.
Fair enough. Okay,
So,
just wrapping my head around this.
I'm going to read the categories here. I'm trying to give an explanation to you right now about what we're doing.
I'm sorry. I will be patient.
So, there are 4 different categories here. There are the dark rides, which are, the slow-moving rides, the inside rides,
Yeah.
so to speak. There are vehicle rides and also attractions.
Okay.
There's the spinning rides. And finally, there's another category. it's the
other.
catch-all of the other things that didn't necessarily fit into these. So, which would you like to start with? I'll give you...
I'm going to pull one
you're gonna pull one?
randomly because
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, so we're going to start with vehicle rides. So vehicle rides from 1971 that are still there. We have the Tomorrowland Speedway, the Walt Disney World Railroad, and the Liberty Square Riverboat. So we have to love one, like one, and leave one. And explain why.
I mean, I think the love one is definitely the railroad. For a lot of reasons. It's accessibility. It takes you all around the park. You can hop on, hop off. And of course, there's Walt's love of railroads. That I really think is the love it one.
Yeah, I would have that as the love it one too. The funny thing is, the last time we were on it was the first time I was ever on it. Interestingly enough, I've always loved the idea of it.
We never went on it prior.
Nope.
I thought at least on our
No,
honeymoon or something.
we've been on the train at Animal Kingdom, but we had never been on the together on that train.
Okay, I feel like I'd been on it before,
I'm sure you have, but
but I guess it would have been
it was also out of service
it was for a long
yeah.
time. Yeah.
So, but I love the idea of that, and you're right. It's because it harkens back to like the original Disneyland, which and Walt's fascination with trains, and so that would be my love as well.
And then so it's
Tomorrowland Speedway and the Riverboat.
I guess here's the tricky part. I've never actually been on the riverboat, but I love the concept of the riverboat. And I'm sad that the riverboat is going to be no more. So I don't know. Like I feel like in my head, the riverboat is the like it. Despite the fact that I've never been on, I like the idea of it. I think it's a really nice like ambiance area. It for sure could be, something to go hop on regardless of age. I know it's one of my Nana's favorite things to do is just like go, I don't want to say it's the old people ride, but
I was going to say, for a lot of
it's-
people, that would be the reason why it would be their Leave It. It's because that's the ride that Nanas like to go on.
But I feel like it has this like impression's not the right word, but you know, you're in that area and it has this visibility that's really nice. So I think, but then I'm torn because I mean, I had never been on Tomorrowland Speedway until the last trip we went on. And now having experienced it with Megan, who really enjoys it, she would like it. I still think I'm going to go with the riverboat with Like It because I like the idea of it. And then I don't think Megan would be sad if the Speedway was gone. She'd find something else to do. And I've only been on the Speedway in the drizzle, and that was very tolerable and very manageable. I don't know how I'd love it in the 9,500-degree sun.
Yeah. I like the riverboat, and it's entirely aesthetics. I've been on it. Whatever.
It fits so well in that
also,
area,
it's
though.
not like it. It's not even really it's really a boat, but it's like it's on a track, so it's not even like a free floating vessel. So it's but the aesthetic is nice, and I have just no time at all for the Speedway. I've never been on it, and there's a reason for that.
Ever? I thought you went on it when you were younger.
No, my parents had no interest in taking us on the Speedway. I had no interest in being on the Speedway.
I still just don't understand the wait time on the Speedway. But you can have a turn with Megan on the next trip, and you will have a little bit of a enjoyment for it.
Only if the wait
is short. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 5 minutes when I went on it with her. It was also drizzling.
Alrighty, so we've got 3 categories left. Do you want?
I'll just pull again randomly.
Yeah. All right. Dark
so
rides.
This is the dark rides.
Okay, so we have Haunted Mansion, Small World, and Peter Pan's Flight.
Oh man,
this is a tough one.
It is. I don't love any of them, but I don't dislike any of them either. Do you want to go first this time?
I'm going to say love to Small World. And that, again, is more like the history of the ride kind of thing. You know, how it harkens back to, some of the real origins. And it is one of those things that now there's sentimentality. The first time that we took Meghan on Small World when she had just turned 1, and she was just in awe of everything that was going on. Probably had no understanding at all of what was going on, but she was
stared with like jaw drop, like
so enthralled by it. So there's the sentimentality piece there for me with that one as well.
Do your whole 3 because I think we're going to be in a different order.
Okay. The next one would be Haunted Mansion. I like Haunted Mansion. I think that it's there's a lot of cool effects, and a lot of them are practical effects, that cause the illusions and everything like that. So I think that that's really fascinating. I think that it's a great story. Like, it tells an intriguing story as well. So I would go with that. Peter Pan's Flight is one that I hate to leave it, but the wait time is what's going to make me leave it. Even with the queue, which is, really cleverly done to help, make sure that kids are a little bit engaged while they're standing in a 90-minute ride for a dark ride,
And the ride is short.
It is. It's pretty short, and it's, what they've done with what they had is pretty, is pretty cool. I like the way that they've, it's nice the way that they imagined it, and to have the flying pirate ships that you're in to navigate between the scenes. It's a boat ride that doesn't involve water, which is pretty cool, So I hate to leave it, but I think that I've seen it, and I know the story of Peter Pan. And granted, I've seen Haunted Mansion 1,000 times too, but I think that Haunted Mansion sets itself apart with some of the other things that it does. So, of those three, Peter Pan's the leave it.
All right, I think we're very opposite here. I'm going with Haunted Mansion as my love it. And it could be a leave it reason for some people, but like I love the music in it. It like I just that, is it the ballroom and
With
the
the birthday party?
song and once you hit there it just turns into this fun. It's much more fun and I find it really engaging, really fun. So that's my love it. And I honestly could flip a coin for the next two because I enjoy both of them. I like if I have the opportunity on both of them for sure. I think I'm going to go Small World with Like It. Kind of same idea as you. At this point, we know the ride at this point, much like we do with Peter Pan, but you can fit more on a boat. It tends to move faster. The song will be stuck in your head forever. But I do enjoy kind of going through and seeing like the different cultures in the dolls. And as Megan's getting older, she's curious about like where they're from and everything like that. So that's fun. Peter Pan, I think, I guess I just don't understand why it has such a long wait time. I know it's one of the best rides for like young kids. Like there's no age restriction or height restriction, anything like that. But it's a fun ride that tells the story of the movie. And again, it's cool the way it's done, but
yeah,
I guess I just have never got the Peter Pan like phenomenon.
I mean, part of the wait time is because of the mechanics of the ride. You can, first of all, there are only so many of the pirate ships. And it's an antiquated ride system that was designed when the park was smaller and there weren't as many people there. So that's a big part of it is, just simply, its capacity and the way that it works.
And you don't want the flying pirate ships right on top of each other. So they have to be spaced out enough.
Right.
Yeah. I still just don't understand the phenomenon. I'm sure when it first came out in 1971, it was top of the model, everything, and it was so cool and so brand new. But now it's like there's so many other like effects done on other rides that I'm more interested in. I'll still go on it,
Yep.
We definitely will go on it plenty of times, but yeah.
All right, we've got two more.
Spinning.
All right. So for the spinning rides, it's basically anything that goes in a circle, as opposed to, it doesn't necessarily have to be, spinning, but anything that's going in a circle. So we've got Dumbo, the true spinning ride, the Mad Tea Party, and Prince Charming's Royal Carousel.
All right. Dumbo is love it. And I just think it's quintessential Disney. And I know it's silly, but back in the 90s, all the TV shows that went to Disney, I know it's silly, but like they all went on Dumbo. So like I would picture Dumbo as that Disney ride. So Dumbo for sure. Then the carousel it's a carousel. We've talked before how we have I grew up on a carousel, so it's not like one of those things that I can only go on at Disney. Like we have a really amazing vintage or historic carousel 20 minutes away from us. But But it's a carousel. It's located right next to the castle. It's just really cool. And I just absolutely like, I'm not the spinner. So the teacups, bye. Goodbye. Even when we're not spinning them like crazy, I don't love them. I've gotten better on them for sure. But no, bye.
Well, I'm going love it teacups.
Yeah, I know.
And so, and I think that Megan is in that category too. Megan is one who is begging me to go faster when I am trying to take it easy on you at the same time. So maybe when Megan's a little bit older, I can show her what it means to actually go faster on the teacups.
Yeah, she likes the spinny stuff. I mean, what last podcast she did, she was talking about the tilt-a-whirl.
Yeah.
So she's all for that.
Then I would go Dumbo. Again, it's that classic Disney. It's one of those iconic Disney rides.
You're not thinking TGI Friday when you're thinking of it, though, are you?
Well, TGI Friday is a restaurant.
No, what was it called?
TGIF, the
TGIF.
Friday night lineup on ABC.
The lineup, yeah.
Yes. No, I'm not thinking about that. I'm sure that I watched some of those episodes, but it wasn't imprinted on my brain the way that it was for you, apparently. But
all of my early knowledge of Disney World comes from like those shows and the sing-alongs.
Well, I mean, just when you think about Disney imagery, whether it's on Friday night television or elsewhere, Dumbo is one of the images that consistently pops up.
Yeah.
I mean, they even did it was a Disneyland commercial, but they did a commercial where Darth Vader was, riding on.
I don't think I probably did.
I'll have to show that.
Yeah,
but it's Darth Vader going on vacation, and one of the things he does is he goes on Dumbo. So, so Dumbo is my and leave it for the carousel. It's a carousel. I think that it's really nicely done. There's a lot of great detail to it, but it's a carousel.
Location definitely gives it a perk in terms of like where it is.
And also, sometimes the wait for the carousel is ridiculous for a carousel. So that's something that comes into play as well. Okay, and then we had our kind of catch-all category here. And for that, we have the Jungle Cruise, the Swiss Family Treehouse, and the Hall of Presidents.
Oh, gosh.
So in this case, while it's not either of our favorites, I think that I have to go with the Love It being the Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. For sure, I find it very, I don't want to say it's very engaging, but when you think of what you're going to do at Disney, I don't think about learning about the presidents. All right. So yeah, you go ahead and then I'll go in.
No, I think the Jungle Cruise it's a fine attraction. That's one of those ones that I think we've talked about before. We don't dislike, we just don't understand the 90-minute wait times, and so, from the standpoint of it as a ride itself, yeah, it's a fun boat ride. It's it's got the dad jokes and all that fun stuff, and
and I think if the wait wasn't crazy, I wouldn't mind it so much. But there's other things I like better that I'm more willing to wait for. So that's why we don't Jungle Cruise as much as some people do.
But when you put it on this list,
oh my goodness,
it's
Jungle
definitely
Cruise, yes.
the Love It. My like it is going to be Hall of Presidents. I haven't been in the Hall of Presidents in a while, but I remember when I was there, even when I was a kid, that was one of the things my father dragged us into. And it wasn't anything that I was wowed by, but I was impressed with it, it was pretty cool from the standpoint of I'm sitting in a room with
all the presidents.
I mean, yeah. And lifelike, these weren't caricatures of presidents, so I thought from that perspective it was very
Interesting.
impressive and interesting. It's not anything that I would get excited about, but I think that there's a real value to it, especially with the Liberty Square area. I think that it has real value beyond people joke, oh, it's the place to go and take an air conditioned nap. That's fine if you want to do that, as long as but
if nothing else, air conditioning.
From what I understand now, people are stupid about it. We haven't been since, but people yell things about certain presidents or others. So maybe that if I had been there more recently, I'd have different thoughts about it. But the attraction itself, I would say in this grouping, I would put it as a like.
I think I'd go with the treehouse as my like. I've never been in the Hall of Presidents. I know I know it disappoints my father. It's often closed when we go there.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to
be
closed again. Like,
I mean,
they're updating it this time because of the most recent election.
I was about
but a
to
lot
say,
of times
if nothing else, every 4 years it's going to be closed in February based on the election. So that for sure, we won't be there this time. And I was finally like, I'm going to go in the Hall of Presidents, and then I saw it was going to be closed. There was one other time. I think we were going to go in back in the summer, if nothing else for the air conditioning. And then we just didn't. Oh, and then we swapped our trip and we ended up just there in the evening. And
right, because we did the
when we were going to be there for the full day, it was like, we're going to go into all the air conditioned stuff that we don't usually do.
But we ended up doing the Halloween party, so we were just at Magic Kingdom at night.
Yeah.
So.
But I think I'm going with the treehouse with for the pure benefit of, you can't really run around it, but it's a space where you have a little more freedom, and especially that area is always so crowded. So I don't think we've ever taken Meghan up it, or if we have, she was little, but I'm thinking like, it's a spot where she doesn't have to hold our hand to do it. And, you can kind of let them be like, okay, stop there, meet us up there, we'll catch up to you. Especially if there's typically there's enough of a gap between you and the group in front of you. So I'm thinking of it from that point of view, of like the parent point of view, where there's a little more freedom in there than hold my hand, don't move, we have to be tight, we have to be moving, we can't stop. And I think like with the Hall of Presidents, it's a leave it, mostly because I've never been in there. And so again, I know I picked the Liberty Cruise as a like it, but it's a little bit different because that's a more visual thing than the Hall of Presidents.
Yeah, I think that the Swiss Family Treehouse is the leave it for me, because I didn't pay all that money to fly down to Florida and pay to get into the park to climb a bunch of stairs.
No, that's fair.
Especially when it's super hot out. So, I can see the appeal for kids and for parents with young kids, and maybe I should appreciate it more for that purpose. But Meghan may have been on it once, and it would have been at an age where half the time we would have been picking her up anyway. Yeah. So, I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily enthused about anything on this part of the list, but I would say of the three, the least enthused I am is
the treehouse.
With the treehouse, I've there are some nice views from up there too, like of the castle and stuff. So, that's a plus for it, but it's not enough for me to
to love it.
Yeah,
or even to like it.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, those are the 4 categories that I scribbled down furiously on some pieces of paper. I know that there may be things on here that I've forgotten, but I think that these were the ones. There were some other ones, but they were ones that I knew that neither of us had participated
Experienced.
in, so we couldn't really comment on them,
And not
or
everything.
haven't participated in them a long time. Like, I had been in the tiki room before as a kid, but that was a long
Yeah.
time ago.
So
at
tiki,
this
I
point.
thought, I was surprised
So-
it wasn't on here, but
Have you ever been to the tiki
No.
room? So we
No,
really
but
couldn't,
I've never been to the Hall of Presidents either.
Well-
I just know what my father says about it.
See, I had forgotten that you had never been to the Hall of Presidents.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard enough, like not even enough about it, but I mean, you know, my dad, the random fact of knowledge person, knows more random facts than anyone I know. But
he's
he always,
he's a trivia machine.
He always talks about the Hall of Presidents. You know, he's been to Disney a couple of times, but that's his like, did you go to the Hall of Presidents? No. Did you go to the Hall of Presidents?
See, at
No.
this point, he asks you because he's teasing you.
Yeah, I
you
know. Someday I'll go.
All right. So before we wrap up, we are now about 2 weeks away. We're just over 2 weeks away. Is there anything that you've been like, oh, I'm really excited to do that?
No, honestly, this is a very, very stressful time of year at school because 2 days before we leave for our trip, I have all the families into school for this like big presentation. And so it's a really great event, but that pretty much is going to take up every minute of my mind for the next 2 weeks. And then it's like, bam, 2 days, crap, I've got to get to Disney. So it's one of those like, and we've always planned it this time of year. It fits in great this time of year, but it leads for a very stressful couple of days.
So what you're looking forward to is not preparing for this giant presentation.
Nope.
And just being at Disney World.
Nope. I'm looking forward to having a great presentation and then being at Disney World.
Fair enough.
We bought ourselves a day in between, so.
Yes, we did.
Yep.
And the thing that I think that I'm looking forward to, and we might have talked about this the last time we were on, is I didn't realize that this trip was going to overlap with Festival of the Arts.
Yeah, we did mention that. Because sometimes it doesn't.
Right, exactly. A lot of times it doesn't. So I had even been asked if we were going to see it, and I said out of hand, no, because this is when we go. And it wasn't until afterwards that I realized how late
this year
festival is this year.
Us.
A lot of times we're seeing the first like topiaries and such for the
Flower and Garden. Yep.
So I'll miss not seeing the Flower and Garden stuff, but I'm excited for the Festival of the Arts stuff. It will be winding down, I think, but I think it'll be cool.
There'll still be stuff there because the festival's going on.
And Megan's a big art fan.
Person.
She loves her art, so I think that she'll have a good time with that too. So
yeah.
All right. Well, once again, thank you for helping me throw this together at the last minute. It's funny because there have been some that I've been super prepared for, super planned out. I've got some that are like scheduled out.
I was going to say, you've already recorded one for a few weeks from now.
Right. I recorded one earlier for when we are on vacation, so I can just have that scheduled and nobody will have to miss hearing our voices, even though we're going to be gone. Yeah, so it's just funny. It's weird that there are these little pockets where I'm like, oh man, I don't have anything planned for this week yet, and but luckily Eileen is my superhero who comes in, swoops in, and helps save the day. So,
mind you, when I said 2 days ago, what are you doing this week? You said, oh, I'll figure something out.
And I did, and we're doing it.
And then I said in the car on the way to Megan's birthday dinner tonight, what'd you decide you're doing? Oh, you're doing it with me.
Excuse me, that is not entirely true, because when I said I'll figure something out, you said, well, we can do something.
Oh,
so
yes,
you volunteered
I always
yourself
put myself
too.
out
So
there.
I took that as, we're going to do something this week. So
no, just the way tonight I was like, what did you decide on? Oh, we're going to do something.
I was
Like,
a
okay.
I was a little surprised that you didn't say we because you had already offered. So, but anyway, we're yes, just a little window into the chaos that has been the past week and a half.
Well, we'll get through the birthday party.
Yes, yeah, we still have a birthday party this weekend.
And then we'll have, well, school will be crazy, but we'll have ideally a more consistent couple weeks at home.
School will be crazy for you. Work is crazy for me. Megan is just crazy all the time. So I'm going to really enjoy this trip, I think.
I hope. I hope. All right.
Until next time that I'm scrambling and saying, oh my God, we've got to do a podcast.
What does Megan say? Thank you and goodbye.
Well, one thing you're always going to love and never going to want to leave is We Do Travel Right once you let them help you with your next magical vacation. We Do Travel Right offers this concierge level service that will help you find the best deals and help you navigate your vacation in the best way possible. And they offer things like the dining team and seminars, and they'll try to find you the very best deals that are out there. They know all the ins and outs, so if there's something that's going to help you save some money or make your trip a little bit easier, they're going to help you find it. And the best part about all of that is they do it for you for free. Yeah, they don't charge you anything extra for it. And you know why? That's because these places like Disney or Universal or a cruise line or an all-inclusive, they already build the price of using an agent into their pricing. So you're paying for it whether you use it or not. So doesn't it just make sense to use the agent? You can certainly look back at some of our past episodes where we've had Emily from We Do Travel Right or some of her agents on this podcast to talk about the great service that they provide and talk about the insight that they have on these vacations, which is even more valuable. You learn so much from working with an agent. So if you are ready for your next magical vacation, visit wedotravelright.com/Mazza. That's wedotravelright.com/Mazza. And they will help you out with a obligation-free quote. And let me tell you, we do travel right, and we swear by them. They are just terrific. They help you out, they listen to you, and they try to give you the best vacation that is going to fit you. So again, if you want that personalized service, go to wedotravelright.com/Mazza. That's wedotravelright.com/Mazza and get your next magical vacation started today.
Well, I can't do any more damage around this popsicle stand.
So long, partner.
See you real soon.
Well, everyone, thank you very much for listening to this episode. It's great to have you always. We love the support. I thought that this was a fun little exercise that we did. If you have differing opinions, you can feel free to let us know. You can contact me directly at mazzasmusings@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media. We are at the Mazza's Musings Podcast on Facebook. We're at Mazza's Musings Pod on X, formerly known as Twitter, Threads, and Instagram. We're on TikTok at Mazza's Musings Podcast, and we're also on Blue Sky. The best way to find all of this is to go directly to our website, which is mazzasmusings.wordpress.com, and you can find all that contact information, all the links to the social medias, and you can learn more information about the podcast itself, a little bit about me, and you can see past episodes and all kinds of different things. And Number one, keep up with the podcast by subscribing to the newsletter. And there's a button right there on the website. Easy peasy. And then you will get updates on upcoming episodes, past episodes, cool stuff that I've found. Sometimes there's sweepstakes or contests and just other information that I think is cool or notable. I also shout out other podcasts. So if you've got a podcast and you'd like me to shout you out, go ahead and fire something off to me too. I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to listen, and I'm happy to grow the library of podcasts that I listen to too. So if you want to take your support even a little bit further, you can buy us a blue milk. And that's our obligation-free way of helping us with some of the small costs that are associated with putting this podcast together. And of course, one of the best ways to support us that doesn't cost you a thing is just tell your friends about this podcast. And leave a rating or a review on whatever podcatcher you're listening to us on. Those podcatchers rely on those likes, thumbs ups, 5 stars, whatever, to bump people up and down in the rankings. And the more positive feedback we get, the easier it is for more people to find this podcast. So next week, very exciting podcast. I'm going to be talking with Aaron Bracey, who wrote a book on one of my favorite sports stories of all time. And that is the 2003-2004 St. Joseph's Hawks basketball team, which had an undefeated regular season. Just this small school from Philadelphia that was just beating everybody. The book is called A Soaring Season, The Incredible Inspiring Story of the 2003-04 St. Joe's Hawks. The foreword in the book is from Joe Lunardi, who some of you may recognize from his bracketology. I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a great conversation. I'm really appreciative to Aaron for taking the time to talk with me about it. And in the meantime, I hope everybody has a great weekend and a great week.